Spring has finally sprung, and with that, my winter hibernation is finally over, and Road Warrior is back, and I'd like to welcome you to our weekly edition. Once again, I'm your host, Grant Roberson, and why not kick off spring the best way with a little bit of neck snapping fun, specifically with the 2022 Subaru BRZ, whether it be a little bit of kind of racetrack enthusiastic feel or even a road trip. This vehicle definitely delivered this week. Now, while the BRZ certainly welcomed in the spring season, it also reminded me of the heart-thumping fun you can have behind the wheel of a 2+2 design. After all, my daily driver is a full-size Yukon XL, so this certainly scaled things down, a more back-bending approach to climb inside, but the true exhilaration there behind the wheel really made for some 0 to 60 fun. Now, besides testing that out, we actually put it up on the open road, doing a road trip up north, about 3.5 hours to Virginia Beach, really to see how this vehicle measured up, to see truly if there's a white knuckle feel when you're driving beside the big boys like the 18-wheelers and other big SUVs. But what I truly liked is its more narrow, scaled down approach, gave you plenty of lane kind of awareness and the easeability to kind of move over just a hair to give the others a little bit more breathing room. Now, while we're talking about scale, let's talk about overall numbers. This vehicle coming in at just under 168 inches, or just shy of 14 feet, about 5 feet shorter than my Yukon XL. As for wheelbase, around about 101 inches. Both of those numbers have increased for 2022. As for width, around about 69 inches wide. And one number that has decreased just a hair is the height, just about 51 inches, giving this vehicle an even more substantial lower center of gravity. It also has nice equal weight distribution from front to back. So the BRZ's new design is as impressive as its road prowess, really giving great handling, because this vehicle isn't just about looking the part, but actually delivering form and function, combining it. Where it begins is here at the front end. First off, with these high prowess arches on either side, serves two purposes, both with aerodynamics as well as hiding the anchor points for the suspensions for the front end. As for guerrilla warfare, it's going to be set down low, gobbling up all the air it can, as well as redirecting along the side in these operational air vents. The air tucking down, redirecting down the side, coming out these operational vents as well on the side. What you also see is this lower sill spoiler. That's going to create a little bit of downforce at certain speeds, adding to the stability of this vehicle. Last but not least is at the back, wider haunches and this fin here, again adding to the overall stability. And of course, what's going to help with the overall look, feel, and operation of the vehicle is a rear spoiler. Now, one side effect of a low positioned open face grille like we have on the BRZ is a little bit of collection of debris like we see here. Nothing really alarming, but I just want to kind of see what it takes to get that out. Now, I did look underneath the vehicle, and certainly I could probably get in there and figure out if there's a fascia that can be removed, but instead I've kind of got this nice vacuum with an extension, and we're going to see if we can kind of tuck that in there and pull a little bit of that out. Now, I did kind of a manual approach going through the front of the venting. There's actually got to be a better way to do it. And when you climb underneath, which is not very easy, but you take the camera and go further back, you will find, I believe it's this release right here. And if you seem to basically unscrew that, there does appear to be this superficial fascia that really will release kind of that area and get rid of that debris kind of one fell swoop. But worst case, you can just kind of suction it out like I did. So with that air intake, a little bit of debris clean out, you can do as you please, whether going through the grill itself like I did, or even kind of releasing that nut it appears underneath will drop down that superficial fascia and cleanse that out. That may be something you want to do here and there as that builds up. Now, this vehicle can be a weekend warrior. It is that 2+2 design. The second row, again, not really for anybody figuratively sitting there is just kind of a figure of speech when it comes to occupancy. But here at the back, you could say, well, it is a little bit of cargo to boot, more specifically of what awaits you inside. Now, there is nice electronic release right here, and what you're going to see is modestly a cavernous area. Really decent acreage as it sits, but well, that's going to easily more than double with those second row that can tumble. That's going to allow you to kind of put some extra gear, and even Subaru touts where you can put an extra set of tires in here. Basically, if you're going to go hit the track and you might wear out your traditional pair, well, you can take some with you to change them out when needed. When you do lay the second row down, you will have to move maybe the front seats forward just a hair temporarily, but you'll notice there on the driver's side, I was still able to put it back in its basic recline area like I prefer. So even though the second row does need to have some accommodation, it is not permanent when you're trying to change this into cargo. And to lay it down, you'll basically have a release button on this side and one on the other, then it'll tumble flat. Now, I did mention how you have the release buttons there on the inside, but possibly easier are these pull tethers here on either side of the back seat. Just simply pull that, releases the lock, and it'll fold down in one fell swoop. Running counter to the current trend of power over precision, the 2022 Subaru BRZ focuses on simplicity and fun. Now, it's designed to deliver an unmatched driving experience with the all-new BRZ featuring a new and more powerful 228 horsepower, 2.4 liter horizontally opposed engine. Sitting low in the chassis, the Subaru's Boxer's unique design allows the BRZ to achieve a center of gravity even lower than previous BRZs and is on par with exotic hypercars. Now, the ultra-low COG is critical to delivering the unrivaled handling with a low polar moment and quick reaction to driver inputs. Now, the new 2.4 liter naturally aspirated engine redlines at 7,000 RPM and delivers a 15% increase in torque. The BRZ definitely has that curve appeal and can make any grown man blush with all its curvaceousness on the outside, but the true feeling and the win-win is behind the wheel. This driver-centric approach that comes with this 2+2 design. Now, my daily driver being a Yukon XL, you forget that, well, with its stage presence, its overall fill-the-lane approach, well, it just doesn't have that scaled-down feeling. Now, certainly that pays off when hauling the family, throwing everything inside, but sometimes you just don't need all of that overkill. Sometimes you want a little bit more neck-snapping fun, and the BRZ definitely delivers. Even more so with its size, well, comes nimbleness, something my Yukon definitely doesn't deliver. So simply when you need to kind of meander through traffic, well, stomp the gas and easily go around. BRZ definitely has some road noise that's going to invade the cockpit, mainly because of, well, that four-cylinder there under the hood. Once you're kind of on full throttle, you definitely get a little bit of that invading the cockpit area. But once you're kind of at full speed and maybe not doing the track dance as we call it, it calms down just enough to give you a little bit more peace. Now, certainly with this full engaged, oversized entertainment system, well, it's barely an arm stretch away to turn up the music and downplay the overall noise, because, well, when you are wanting to get a little bit of more boot, scoot, and boogie, you want to have a little bit of entertainment. Now, when you're not in the need for speed, this is a good daily driver, even though it does have these sports style bucket seats. They're not too enveloping, meaning they're an equal opportunist. Pretty much anyone can find comfort here on the inside. As for operation, when it comes to comfort, that is manual, both back and forth, as well as vertical up and down. You can raise this up or lower it depending on your overall vertical height. Obviously, manual reclinability as well. Now, we did take this for a road trip about 3.5 hours north to Virginia Beach. That did entail some open highways and some back roads. And one thing you will notice when you're on the highway is you're somewhat dwarfed by the vehicles around you, most notably, of course, 18-wheelers and the big old SUVs. Now, one thing I tended to do is I did stay in the right lane, because, again, what I like is this vehicle doesn't take up the whole footprint. meaning you can kind of squeeze into the lane and let everyone pass by, and it pretty much keeps you out of harm's way. But in a pinch, when you need to get ahead of slower traffic, well, just give the old flash the pass and you can zoom on by in one fell swoop. So the big story with the BRZ isn't the fact that it can do a road trip quite well, has great ergonomics, but rather what it can do when it's off the typical beaten path, meaning track mode. And where you'll find that is between the front occupants. Just simply press that button and the multi-personality of this vehicle really shows up, specifically starting there with the gauge cluster, transformed from the daily hauler to track mode, with the tachometer really taking precedence and the little digital readout for speed quite minimized, and certainly track labeled there on the gauge cluster. What that allows you to do is kind of get ready to have a more neck snapping fun. Now with that track mode and that digital cluster, the big standout is the shift points. For this novice, someone that doesn't really do 0 to 60 that often, more or less it's 0 to 45, that allows me to feel more like an expert, really allowing me to hit those shift points when appropriate and getting the best full throttle experience. Quick breakdown of the infotainment system. Obviously huge and oversized and colorful, great interactive display. Down below, nice shortcuts, ease of access, and of course setting your memory is as simple as pressing and holding. That'll make it your preset. Certainly got a home button here that's going to give you all the various apps that you can click on in one fell swoop. We did connect our phone in 2 different ways, via the Bluetooth and USB. The Apple AirPlay appears to be kind of related to the USB. That's going to give you kind of that mirror image of what's going on in your phone. It doesn't seem to have the wireless capability of doing the Apple Play, but once you do Bluetooth connected, of course it's got the media options. If you need to, you can go through all the other various settings. Again, setting this vehicle up exactly how you prefer, even right down to your driver profiles. This vehicle really doesn't have any blind spots, but one thing I do like is, even as small as it is, when you put it in reverse, you do have a nice backup camera. If you're looking for cup holders, now they will be a little bit further back between the front occupants, to be expected, because your primary reason for driving this vehicle is, of course, the manual shifting and some functionality through here. So the cup holders that I thought might be in this area actually are pushed back to right here. They're going to uncover right, and you'll have dual cup holders as well as connectivity. Now when you're driving, that does mean you kind of do have to reach back, not with the closest arm, but instead reaching around your body to get there. But again, this vehicle is all about driving, not necessarily about your beverage of choice. But one kind of workaround I found is, well, taking this right here and actually placing it over here to the side. Again, the entire gauge cluster is digital. One thing I like is the left side allows you to kind of find exactly information that you're looking for and either leave up or just kind of scroll through as needed. Tons of information there at the ready by just simply using the controls there on the steering wheel. Now, I'd like to thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior and the coming out of hibernation and welcoming this spring season. And what better way to do it than behind the wheel of the BRZ. It also helped to remind me that Subaru certainly can give us the grip at the 4 corners when we need it, but when a season like this arrives, well, it's all about burning some tires at the back end and testing out that 0 to 60. And as always, thanks for watching, and keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.